Across icy fjords and stormy seas, fierce warriors known as Vikings rose from the shadows of ancient Scandinavia, masters of raids, shipbuilding, and battle. Their legacy still echoes in history and in strategy games like Ancestor's Legacy. Today, we unlock the evolution of these legendary fighters, exploring their ranks from foot soldiers to heroes, and separate Viking fact from fantasy. The Viking Age spans roughly from 700 to 1100 AD. The Norse seafarers sailed from what's now Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Vikings weren't just brutal raiders, they were also traders, settlers, and skilled craftspeople. Their journeys took them to Britain, Ireland, and far beyond, reshaping medieval Europe and perhaps even the world. The backbone of the Viking forces in Ancestor's Legacy are the Huscarls. These are elite guards and warriors, equipped with axes or swords and round shields. In battle, they form swift, tough infantry that excel in close combat. Spear Raiders wield spears and shields, stronger against cavalry and excellent for holding defensive lines. While not the most heavily armored, the speed and the reach of their spears make them deadly. Historically, Huscarls were indeed well-trained personal troops of Viking lords, famed for their discipline and skill. Spears and shield walls were common Viking tactics, especially for defensive formations to repel enemy attacks. There's also saying that Huscarls were sent to the Middle East as great warriors, and they formed the elite forces of the Roman Empire, being called the Varangian Guards. Advancing, we have the fearsome Berserkers, warriors set to fight with uncontrollable rage and heavy axes. In Ancestor's Legacy, their Berserk mode boosts damage. Though tales of Berserk fury are famous, historians believe the reality was more disciplined. Berserkers likely fought fiercely but strategically, often adorned with animal skins. There were also sayings that they would use nature to induce themselves into a frenzied trance in which they are going to lose completely the fear of death. What do you think about this fact? Let's talk about Viking archers in Ancestor's Legacy, because historically Viking use of bows was limited compared to infantry roles. But the game gives them an important ranged presence for balance. The final unit that we're going to talk about is the commanders and legendary heroes with powerful abilities that support and inspire troops. While real Viking leaders held significant influence, the game amplifies their combat prowess for dramatic effect. These heroes provide buffs and battlefield control, embodying the myth surrounding Viking chieftains rather than strict historical reality. Now let's start separating fact from fiction, and what is a creative part of the developers. What we can say first is what is about true history. The use of axes, swords, and spears with shields is pretty accurate. It is very well known by archaeological finds that the Vikings would use these weapons. Also, the roles of Huscarls and spearmen align with the historical infantry, especially shield wall tactics are very well represented in the game. The importance of mobility and raid tactics showcased in the game are also something that the Vikings historically would use. Berserkers' frenzy is more legend than fact. This is an exaggerated assumption. Viking archers had a smaller battlefield role than shown in the game. These guys have pretty uniform colors, but this omits regional and chronological Viking diversity. In this time period, the uniforms have not been developed, and there's no reform in the military that say that troops in this time period would use the same colors. They could use some things that would represent their own clan, like flags or ornamentation, but they would not have the same uniforms. In this time, diversity was the norm. Another exaggerated thing that happens in Ancestors' Legacy compared with the historical facts is the supernatural abilities of the heroes. These are just for gameplay enhancements. As an additional bonus, I would like to put in here the representation of cavalry units within the Viking faction. The horses in this game represented for the Viking faction are not exactly historical. This type of horse that you can see in game is bigger than the actual horse of the Scandinavian peninsula. The horses in here are sturdier, are bulkier, and are smaller. So you can see here an example of the real horse that you would see in the wilderness in this area. I hope you liked the video, and thank you for journeying through Viking Warfare and Ancestors' Legacy's bold interpretation of this culture. Which Viking unit surprised you the most? Are there other factions or history lessons you want us to explore through gameplay? Stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled. This is Victus. See you in the next one.